Let's bring in our panel for some first thoughts. Former New York State Senator, Democrat strategist David Carlucci, Republican strategist Amanda Mackey. Very good to see you both. Amanda, I want to start with you. We heard from our correspondent earlier that from what we know of this 28-point peace plan, it repeats many of Moscow's demands. What do you think of that?
Well, I think therein lies the problem. Now you see UK stepping up its support, sending troops to the region. So I think that what we have to recognize is that Russia has not played fair. As former Senator Kay Bailey Hutchison said, there are 85 United States senators, obviously bipartisan, that are willing to go after Russia with sanctions. And yet we need to leverage that. We haven't leveraged that in a way to help the Ukrainian people. But if you take this from the broader lens of President Trump, his job was never to support the Ukrainian people and not the Russian people and vice versa. He just wanted an end to the war. That's what he campaigned on. I think he's growing tired that we're ending the year, 1 year of him being in office, and that this hasn't happened yet. So he's going to put all of the pressure that he can on Ukraine to accept this. And right now, it's anyone's guess if Ukraine will. My suspicion is that they won't.
Well, the question is, of course, will Russia end this war, who actually started this war? But David, coming to you, what do you think of that argument from Amanda?
Well, yeah, this 28-point peace plan is more like a 28-point checklist for surrender. This isn't peace. This is a surrender of territory, of democracy, of security for Ukraine. So I don't see any way that they accept this deal. It's not a deal. It's a deal for Russia. And that's obvious to anyone that reads through these 28 points. So the president, our president, has faltered, has fumbled, has flailed. He promised us on the campaign trail he would end this conflict in a day. That certainly hasn't happened. And he has not supported our ally. As the former senator said, we made a promise. We made a deal with Ukraine to offer security. And Russia has proven to us time and time again, at least under Putin, that he can't be trusted. And so a deal like this, I think, would ultimately be a disaster. Maybe it'll be a headline for President Trump, but it'll be a disaster for peace in Europe. That saying, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. We need to be students of history and not allow for a plan like this to move forward, because it would spell disaster if we are relying on Russia to be truthful and to hold up their end of the deal.
And Amanda Mackey, I did feel that when we were talking to our guest earlier, Kay Bailey Hutchison, that there was a sort of quite nuanced position there in terms of trying to understand the negotiating position of the White House team. They have pointed, we heard, today in the press briefing, we did hear that, they have been successful, as they see it, in Gaza in reaching a deal there. And they obviously know they have to bring both sides along with them to achieve any kind of negotiation. So should they not deserve some credit and some trust in this process?
Well, absolutely. And President Trump never said, we're going to end this on the side of the Ukrainian people. He just said, I'm going to end this war. That is my number one priority. And yes, to David's point, it didn't happen in a day. But I think the point is that President Trump has had meeting after meeting and has tried to move the needle on this. But unfortunately, Putin has moved the goalpost, and he keeps moving the goalpost, which is why you have 85 United States senators who can't agree on anything. My goodness, the government was shut down for 6 weeks. They agree that they need sanctions on Russia because Putin is not negotiating in good faith. But President Trump, to his credit, never said, I'm going to bring this down and Ukraine's going to win and Ukraine's going to be happy and everyone's going to be happy about that.
That's moving the goalpost. He's
going to try to end the war.
No, that's moving the goalpost. To say that there was no intent that we would err on the side of Ukraine, I think would be misleading the public. We expected, as many people did, we support Ukraine and have. The fact that President Trump has walked this back, and now to say he was going to end this in one day by just surrendering the Ukraine, I don't think that's what the American people signed up for.
I don't think he said he was going to surrender in a day. He said he was going to try to negotiate a deal. That's what he said.
He would
That's
end
what
it
he
in a
campaigned
day.
on. And one thing the American people did not vote for was American involvement in this war.
If I could just jump in there really quickly to follow up on what you said, Amanda, you're saying that President Trump never promised that he would end this war on behalf of the Ukrainians. This peace plan, however, as we've heard, we haven't actually seen it, but regardless, seems to end things on Moscow's terms.
I haven't seen the terms of it, but it sounds very much like it is tilted towards Russia. Now, I will say President Trump has said before in prior meetings to Zelensky, they have won this territory. You need to recognize that. So I think President Trump has tried to plant the bug with Zelensky that you have to give up something. You can't just say, we're not going to do it. They have been successful. Russia has been successful. You have to give up something. But if Ukraine wants to remain steadfast in that we're not giving up anything, I think that's where the rub is. And that's where President Trump is trying to make his influence known, that you are going to have to give up something. Now, we haven't seen the proposal and the 23 points, but it would be interesting to see what that is. And my suspicion is, given that given that the UK is sending troops there, it's probably not something that is in favor of the Ukrainian people.
OK, we will leave this there for now. But Amanda and David, do stay with us. We're just going to take a very short break. Around the world and across the UK, this is BBC News.